Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. Welcome to WowBiz Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. When the Wall Street Journal did a story on meditation just this week, I knew that the world had changed. Obviously, the Wall Street Journal is a very straight arrow kind of operation, and they don't typically do stories about these, I would call it a soft story, a lifestyle culture story. But it was well done. It was fairly lengthy and implied that a lot of executives actually do meditate as a means to kind of relax and perform better and so on. I thought to myself, this is it. This is something that has never happened before. No publication like that, a financial publication, would ever speak about this, but they did that this week. And I'm going to talk to you about something along those lines. I'm going to talk to you about self-actualization, and I'm going to talk to you as if you are a business owner or a salesperson. There are many of us out there doing that, and this is going to take most of the entire show. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you are not the person you think you are. You are two people. You are two people, and I'll explain that in just a minute. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. This is WowBiz Nebraska. We've done 118 shows, and we're excited to have you with us today. But first, before we jump into this lengthy, shall I say, seminar, this insightful, knowledge-driven concept in our topic today here on WowBiz Nebraska, I want to talk to you very briefly. If you're a business owner, you maybe have a brochure that you need or a folder or some signage or whatever it is, and you say to yourself, I'm not gonna spend money on hiring some professional or some guy or gal to come down and do this, some artist and whatever. That's going to cost me too much money. I'm just going to do it myself. We'll figure it out. I'll go talk to the printer and I'll tell them how I want it, what it should be, and so on. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a big mistake. That's a big mistake. And I'm going to show you exactly one example. And by the way, I don't want anybody to think that I'm picking on these people. It could be a high quality vendor in the roofing business. Of course, we know here in Omaha, there's many companies that are in the roofing business. So I'm going to focus on a company right now called Innovative Roofing. Here they are right here. This is their handout, their folder. They have all kinds of loose leaf materials inside, and that's not unusual, right? We all know companies that have a little pocket folder and so on. I've used them many times myself. But take a good look at what we have here. Now, the first thing, of course, is Innovative Roofing, and that's fine. If you're going to run a company that needs to be known as innovative, nothing wrong with putting that right there on the front of your brochure or your flyer, but take a look at what's on here. We see at the top here a portion of the American flag. And we've got red and blue up there. Now, the American flag is a wonderful icon. We all know and respect it and so on, but it's not really associated with innovation. That wouldn't really be the symbol if you wanted to say, hey, we're really cutting edge. You're not going to use the American flag as a sign or a symbol of that. So that's the first mistake that whoever owns this company made. Secondly, he did a very interesting thing. He chose Nikola Tesla to be right on the front of his marketing material package. Now, Nikola Tesla was a genius. He was in the league with Thomas Edison. By the way, he was with Thomas Edison back in the day, and then after 1 or 2 years broke away from Thomas Edison, and he went out on his own and he formed or invented, we'll say, I want to say it right, alternating current, AC electricity. Now, AC electricity is what we all use at home and at the office when we plug in and so on. So Nikola Tesla invented alternating current, where Thomas Edison was direct current. Now, it doesn't really matter that much, these details, but the fact of the matter is, having a picture of Nikola Tesla here does synchronize, I guess, with innovative, but it doesn't go at all with this imagery up here, which is very, very traditional as well. Now, if you really like Nikola Tesla, and by the way, he's a very obscure character, hardly anybody is going to know who this man is. So it's kind of interesting to put it on the front of your cover. I would suggest that he would have done it inside and maybe have a flap that addressed who the man was and why he's significant and relevant to innovative roofing and so on. But they chose to put him right there on the front. So the owner was assuming, that people know who Nikola Tesla is. Well, Thomas Edison maybe, but Nikola Tesla, very, very unlikely that most people would know. So he's not bringing anything to the party. In fact, it's kind of obscure. It's like, who is that? And is he an American? Or is he the guy that designed the American flag? Or who is he? You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of confusion, and it could work against you. You know, if you're a business owner, you've got to be very, very careful about the symbols that you put on and the type of imagery that you use on your brochure. So that's the point I'm trying to make here. Now I'm going to show you a different image. This is the cover of a book. All right, very, very different. This has been designed by no less than me, by the way. But this book is called 90 Minutes to Take Off. And that's kind of intriguing, obviously. And then there's a sub underneath it, kind of a subhead, says a mini book about the art and science of innovation. So the idea there is to create a little bit of excitement, a question mark, and then obviously show this image here. Now this is an exciting kind of a abstract, expressionistic piece of art, but it does imply cutting edge, it does imply newness, and of course if you're going to teach people how to innovate, it's probably a pretty good image because innovation is kind of open-ended and multifaceted and unusual, and what does innovation really mean? And this image reinforces that. And at the bottom it says how to create new products, new experiences, and new outcomes in the kinetic business era. So this image right here, this beautiful expressionistic image looks like it's moving, doesn't it? It's kind of going from left to right. So this is a very artsy cover of a book, but it does have some very clear right here and right down here explanations that let you know what's going on inside the book or booklet that this is introducing you to. So the two of these are quite different, and I just wanted to point out to you that it's a great idea to go with a professional when you're developing a very imagey kind of piece. Now, we've made our point, we'll move on. All right, as I mentioned to you before, the Wall Street Journal piece tells us about our generation, that we want to know who we really are, right? We want to know who we really are. There are millions of workers, Gen Z and Gen Y in particular, that are very frustrated because they don't really understand. There's no direction. They're not sure who they are, why they're here, what the purpose is. Over 20% of them have considered suicide, believe it or not, and that's a big number. So I wanted to visit with you today. I want you to pretend that you're a salesperson, and I want you to think of the superficial aspect of visiting with somebody or standing in front of a potential prospect, right? And then I want you to think about what's going on inside of you at that time. Now, scientists will tell us, and philosophers will tell us even more, there are two parts inside of us, fundamentally, right? One is the essence, one is the persona. Now, I'm going to use this little hat right here just to kind of symbolize essence and persona. Persona is your ego. Persona is what you want to be known as. Persona is the suit that you wear, the person that you walk around with, your house, your car, the language that you use, and your intention to maybe impress somebody or whatever. That is your persona. That's what many people will tell you. If you want to get ahead, embrace all these icons and little elements that kind of add up to, that's your package, right? That's your persona. Now, your essence, on the other hand, is what you were born with. Remember when of course you don't remember when you were 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, back in those really early years, and people would say, oh man, he really is into this, or, he's extraordinarily intelligent or curious, or he loves to climb and he's really physical, or whatever it is. But those are all parts of your essence. And every one of us has has that. Now, there's more to this story, and I'm going to give it to you at the back end of this particular show, so don't go any way, but let's use an example right here. Let's pretend that you're selling and you're working for a company or maybe yourself, and we'll talk about number one. And by the way, there are 12 of them, so I'll move kind of quickly along at this first half of the show, and then the back half of the show, we'll go in greater depth about these things and the difference between what a salesperson would normally be doing and what's really going on inside the salesperson while that's happening. So I'll give you an example. Marketing, sales. Number one, see the customer in you. Now that's fairly deep right there. As a matter of fact, you're looking at somebody and you're saying, yeah, we have a great product. And as you're looking at that person, you say, he and I could really get along well. We're kind of similar, actually. And you notice those similarities, right? That's the persona, right? That's the persona right here. Now, the essence is when after the sales pitch, after the interview, you're out walking to your car, right? And you're thinking about yourself and how you handled yourself. And you say to yourself, boy, that there was a part of me that kind of came out, it was really robust, and there's another part of me that is kind of quiet and inhibited and modest and so on. That's really very interesting because both of them came out at different times, right? So the idea there is to know thyself. This is what Socrates said, right? Many decades ago, centuries ago. Know thyself, but here's what the psychotherapists say, peel the onion. When lots of executives kind of retire, they're 50, 60, and they're confused and maybe a little bit unhappy about their lives, they don't quite understand, so they go see a therapist and he says, let's peel the onion, shall we? Let's pull down all the leaves of your personality, all the things you think you're supposed to be and do and so on, and let's find out what's really inside. Jim Carrey, the comedian, loves to talk about this. All right, so we'll go on to number two. This is the second marketing or sales principle. That's what we're doing here. There's the persona. I'm going to put it on right now. This is how we appear to the outside world. And then, of course, we'll move to the essence. So number two, segment the customer prospect base. Now, we all know what that is, and these people over here demographically are this, and then they're over here, and they're that, and so on. But if you segment the customers inside of you, the people who are inside of you, you need to recognize the multiple selves within. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There are a whole bunch of people inside of you, frankly, and it's almost like an orchestra. And they all want to be heard. They all want to dominate your behavior. They all want to dominate your thinking, and they all want to play their song. They want their solo to be recognized. That's right. That's how all of us are. We all have multiple selves within that come out under certain kinds of stimulus, certain kinds of stimuli. We behave this way under certain circumstances. When we're in front of our wife or our spouse or our children or our boss, something else comes out inside of us. That's true, isn't it? Absolutely. All right. So we've gotten through 2 of 12. We've got to move along. But my name is Lynn Hinderaker, and I want to thank you so much for coming to our show today, WowBiz Nebraska. It's brought to you by a brand new company across the state of Nebraska called Nebraska Now. I'll say it again, Nebraska Now. It's a pretty cool phrase, and it implies something. There's 183 communities across the state of Nebraska. There's 45,000 businesses that have an employer and employees across the state of Nebraska. But here's the thing, inside of all those areas, the cities or the companies that we are referencing, most of them have no idea where to go for help. They don't know how to add value. Where do I go? Who do I call? They want to differentiate themselves. They want to stand out. There's all kinds of situations. They can't call the Chamber of Commerce. There's nobody there that really is qualified to handle those questions. There doesn't seem to be anybody on the membership roster that could help them with these kinds of deep, strategic questions. Innovation is another one. Very difficult to do if you've never done it before. So Nebraska Now is being built right now as you speak by soliciting or finding people, we'll call them ambassadors, around the entire state, 183 communities. Now they've got jobs and they got careers and they're doing other things, but The people that run Nebraska Now are asking for referrals. That's it, just referrals. Find somebody in the community that may have some issues with that. You might happen to know what they do or their names or whatever, something pretty superficial, but you do know the company exists and they probably could use some help. You make a call to Nebraska Now. Nebraska Now gets on the phone, visits Zoom meetings, whatever it is. And if business comes out of that, now listen to this, if business comes out of that, whatever it is, fees of all kinds, the Nebraska Now team will share that money with the local representative 50-50. 37% of all the businesses in America, so I'm going to assume Nebraska as well, are struggling. 37% of them are not doing well, and they're in trouble. Now here's another 37%. A lot of business owners, 37% of them are uncomfortable with their strategy. They're uncomfortable with the strategy. It's just, it doesn't seem like it's really working for us and so on. So there's a lot of need across the state of Nebraska for help, consultants, coaches, active advisors, anybody who can get on a Zoom call and work with a business owner and help them work through problems, some of which are somewhat complex. So Nebraska Now is unusual. If you're the kind of person in a local community that could work with them and simply send them in the right direction, get them referred to some company in the local community, you may want to think about contacting the people at Nebraska Now. That's right, Nebraska Now. Brand new company, brand new concept, and a very exciting way for people to make really significant money with very little effort across the entire state of Nebraska. That's right, that's right. So here we are in WowBiz Nebraska. Thank you so much for joining us. Very exciting show, and I'm going to really keep on going here. We're going to talk about 12 different ways. We've talked about 2 of them right now, but 12 different ways, there'd be 10 more we haven't talked about yet, that need to understand who they really are, right? Some people think about this stuff when they're 22, other people when they're 62. It doesn't really matter, but the fact of the matter is when you're working hard in business, you're focusing at one level. You're living and working and interacting at one level, but there's another level. It's a much deeper level and a much more meaningful level for you, and we're going to move forward and do that. So we're going to pick up on point number 3. We did 2 of them in the first half of our show. We'll do number 3 right now. So assuming you're a salesperson or somebody like that, number 3, focus on the marketing process and focus less on marketing results. Now that's a reasonable thing to hear. You've probably heard that before. And if you go over to the self-actualizing side, where you've taken off the hat now and you're going to try to really see through the situation and be transparent, if you will, and piercing, kind of go deep. And here's what you stumble on that's very similar to the marketing principle I just mentioned, and that is life is a journey, not a destination. Just think about that for a minute, Most people in business think of it as a destination. They have goals and they want to go from here to there. Life is a journey, not a destination. Now we're going to go on to point number 4. Again, this is the superficial sales concept that's going on in your head and is obvious in front of everybody. Make every unsuccessful sale successful by learning something new. Now that's a really good, solid piece of advice, and it makes a lot of people feel much better after they've been rejected on the phone, or they call on somebody, or knock on the door. We're not interested, go away, all that. Everybody goes through that, everybody's heard that. So when that happens, it can really hurt you inside, it really can, more so than most people would realize. So here's the self-actualization principle that goes with that can really help you go deeper with it. And that is as follows. Obstacle, 3 words, obstacle is school. Just think about that for a second. All the obstacles when you're in marketing and sales, obstacle is school. And of course, the key there is transform negativity into positivism. Transform negativity into positivism. We've heard a lot about that. Tony Robbins and many other people have helped us embrace that idea. Let's go on to number 5. Marketing, here's what salespeople are going through right now. This is our persona, shall we say. Build belief and credibility through frequent, disciplined, continuous message. Now, this is so important. You see it all over, all the books, how to succeed in business, how to get more clients. And this is what they say, just crank away now, send out those emails, keep at it, keep going, keep getting people to so they kind of hear your message and know who you are. Now, the self-actualization aspect of it, we'll take that off. It says here, practice a consistent ritual for your inner work. What is your inner work? Huh? And how do you do that consistently? How do you turn it into a ritual? It's a fascinating topic, and if you're not doing inner work, you might want to think about doing it, by the way, in the early morning. When you first get up, you've got your coffee, you might want to think about embracing some type of ritual at that time that you know that will give you some kind of a steady courage, so to speak, and discipline to move forward. All right. Here's marketing principle number 6. Relationships are your most valuable corporate asset. Probably know that. Yeah, I know that. Hey, I'll give him a buzz, and Harry will be happy to sit down and visit with you. Harry, how you doing? Right? It's like that. That's what life in business is all about. But in self-actualization, where you're trying to look deep inside of yourself and really go beneath all that, this phrase can be very helpful. Relationships are our best way to see ourselves, we're always focused on everybody else, and he should do this, and she should call me, and blah, blah, blah. But most of us don't really we don't see ourselves through the people that we are with, friends, spouses, whatever. That's a very, very interesting idea. Now, here we are to number 7. I love this one because I love repositioning. It says, reposition your product. Salespeople, marketing people do it all the time. They're the dramatic ones, we're the low-key ones. They're the pushy ones, we're the very modest ones over here. We're into sustainability, they are not. There's positioning all the time. We're the people that are online, we do that big time. These people over here brag about coming to our store, we're face-to-face. So everybody has a different position. They own a position in the customer's mind. That's repositioning your product. But here's the self-actualization way to come at that idea is to think about your life in new ways. Think about your life in new ways. You're repositioning your product. That means you want people to think about your product in new ways. That's a reasonable thing to do. But think about yourself. Think about yourself and think about how your life could be and how it might need to be in new ways. All right, here we are at number 8. Moving forward, listen more carefully. This is a sales principle. Listen more carefully to the prospect's opinion. Don't defend or even react immediately. That's a hard thing to do. Sometimes prospects are mean, or they get the wrong idea, or they go off on a rant or whatever, and it's hard to just sit there and nod quietly and listen carefully. But that's what they're suggesting to any salesperson. And by the way, that's because you want to be known as the person that doesn't react, right? You want to be the wise person, not the person that defends your product and says, you got it wrong, man. No, you don't want to do that. But here's the self-actualization principle that is so cool. It's so cool. It's so zen, so to speak. And that is empty your cup. You know what that really means, empty your cup? Put all your preconceived concepts about yourself and them and everything else, put it all aside. It's like pouring your whole brain, your whole idea about the whole world is in a cup. Turn the cup over, get it all out, and completely open yourself to whatever is coming your way, even as you're sitting in front of a prospect that maybe isn't particularly inclined to purchase your product. All right, we're going to go on to number 9. This is so exciting. So here's the standard sales pitch or standard sales idea. Manage the entire marketing mix. All right, some of you are marketing directors and so on, advertising people. Manage the marketing mix. I think most of us know kind of what that is. We've got promotion over here. We've got branding over here. We've got product development over here. We've got online over here, and they all are kind of a mixture. We're trying to figure out, do they complement each other? What should we do with that? And so on. We're managing actively what the marketing mix is. But here's the deal. Here's the self-actualization principle that's kind of similar, but it goes, of course, deep inside, and that is sense the connectedness of life. Now, this is very interesting. I listened today to a gentleman, a brilliant management consultant. He said I was standing in the ocean right up to my knees, right on the beach, and I realized that everything I'm looking at, and all the little animals that are underneath the surface of the ocean, and they're on the sand here, and they're up in the air with the seagulls, it's all connected. He said, and we don't even understand that. We don't connect anything. In our minds, everything is separate and standalone. This is where we go. This is how we operate. We don't want to get them mixed up together, but they are mixed up together in our minds and in our hearts, the connectedness of life. Boy, oh boy. All right, now we're going to go on now, number 10. Know where you are. If you're a sales marketing person, you're trying to do a deal with somebody, trying to get something going, you have to know where you're at in the cycle. You know, there's all these steps that you have to go through, and you have to know where you're at. You don't want to move too quickly or too slowly, all right? But the self-actualization portion of that principle is realize the phase of your psyche's maturation. That sounds really high and mighty, but you know, think about it. You're really asking yourself, how mature am I? Can I handle things the way a mature person would? What does that really mean? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't complete this entire show right now, unfortunately, because we have so much to continue. But I will bring this to you the very next show right here in WowBiz, Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. It's been very exciting. We got a brand new promotion with Nebraska Now. Check them out. And we will talk to you very, very soon. And we love your support. And we'll talk to you again. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. See you next time.